$155,797.01.
Is the check that hasn't transferred, hasn't cleared yet, is that all for NBC?
It's not all NBC, but yes, NBC is definitely on there. Also, there was the Precision Roadway check, that was 13.7, that hasn't cleared. Chad County Public Works and with Smith Milton for engineering costs, that was 7,000, that hasn't cleared either.
So it's about 220 roughly.
Yeah, the NBC drainage was 209,714. Yeah.
Any other questions on the treasurer's report?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I've made the motion to approve the treasurer's report. Do I have a second? I'll second it. Any second and all in favor? Aye.
Thank you, Marlene.
Absolutely. Okay, then I reached out to Alan Ulbrich at Minnesota National Bank. He's one of the commercial loan officers there. So I asked him what the procedure would be if we needed a short-term loan. And the short-term loan would basically be like if we don't have the monies to cover the September bills, which looking at this, I'm thinking that after tonight, we'll still have 122,000. So if nothing ginormous comes up, we're good. But he did provide me some information. He also, they'd like to do business with the township. So one of the things he said, we're excited for the opportunity to work with your township. The process outline is essentially have a little more dialogue on how you and our bank envisions the relationship and account structure to work. Receive documentation/authorization to borrow and open accounts. We next prepare and ask you to sign a deposit account paperwork as well as line of credit loan documents. Once the paperwork is signed, we'll upload and have everything available the same day. So what I'm gathering from this is that if we find in September that we're going to need a little extra money, we'd be able to do a resolution tonight and basically turn this around rather quickly and get the money. But I think he's interested in doing, like, I don't know how, and Jason will be explaining this more, but how the bonding thing works. Do we work with banks on that? You know, how exactly that works. They would like us to set up a savings account there. They would like us to do business with them. So just putting it out there, something to think about for the future.
Any questions on that? Joe, we're just stepping in, there was, we checked with the bank on the general fund, operating fund for the township. Thank you. Sorry, Mike. Looking for a motion?
Yeah. Don't think we need a motion on that. It's
Okay,
just
good.
kind of informational for you guys.
Okay.
So do we have to do all of this stuff before? Or is it, do we need to sign all the papers? And
If we
set
decide
it up?
that we want to do a short-term loan, it looks like what we would need is a resolution at that meeting that says that they're authorizing whoever. So it would probably be like the 3 signees to open the account. And then we would have to take that resolution into the bank, and then they would actually be able to open the account. I've already given him the last 2 year-end statements so he can see the monies that are coming into the township. So he's got a feel for that. I didn't send him a copy of our budget, but I did tell him what the budget levy has been set at for the year. So he knows, you know, this is monies that is coming back in to the township. So I think it's a matter of at the next meeting, if we need it, we do a resolution, and then we go into the bank and we sign signature cards, and we'd probably have to have some money to put into a deposit. And I can find out from him what that would be, but I think it would be nominal, you know, maybe $1,000 or something, just to get something in there. So
No, Marlene, we will get our settlement
We will, but
in
not until October.
October.
Right. So, we have one more month that we're not going to be getting money in. And then in October, we should be getting a pretty decent settlement. But, we're also then looking at winter. So,
What is a pretty decent settlement?
I think we're gonna, let me just look at what we got in May, because it should be, equal to that one. It's, 200 and,
That would be.
yeah. So we got our gas tax, and
We
then
got 201,604.
201,604. Yep. So we should be getting that again in October.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Today's the 26th.
Mm-hmm.
All day long. Thank you, Lynn, for all of that.
Craig, I was gonna question you on that $490 for the Adrian Loop, but then Dale said that you did the back slope and everything else.
Everything, all leads and. Where are they? Maybe.
I also went, sent, applicators grading in the township. I had, the guy keep it separate, so they actually sent us 2 bills from central applicator. Was it 600?
Yeah, I think the two are in there, they're stapled together, it came to a total of 6.
I think it was 6,600
Yeah,
total, but the bill just
6610.
for all 3 loop is separate, just for, so we, how much it would cost us right now.
Copy of the email from Alan.
Is there a new person for the GIS?
Yes, the person that took Doug Tom's, position is named Tom Kerbanek. Kerbanek. And then
Did
Catherine
you pay on board?
is still in the
Both
office
Lois?
Okay, now they're up on the 3rd floor by you guys, right?
for now, yeah.
I'm gonna check it out. I know there's apparently some 911 signs.
They got all three bills up.
Yeah.
There for like big
Right.
lots or something.
Yeah.
Along with the other stops.
The one is at they bought that farm. It's like down farm, they bought 200 acres.
Here,
One is, cousin living on it now in the trailer, she was trying out. It's part-time.
Okay, are they usually in there? Because every time I walk by, there's no one coming around.
Not so much on, I believe on Fridays, Thursdays or Fridays, they're usually out in the field. So your best bet is to catch them Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
We are breaking all those bills out that pertain to Alcott, right? So
Yes.
we're gonna do it.
We have they've got a special account.
Okay, thank you.
So you got enough candy in there?
I gotta go stock. It's been a lot of eating of candies due to the budget. The county's, a lot of anxiety.
Your dog.
So I was just gonna let the board know, so Central Applicators did Birchdale. I had them keep, Aldrin loop separate, just so, we know, and he sprayed that, the ditches and the back slope. Now it's $580 just for that, so.
He's the part-time border patrol guy. Part-time border patrol guy.
Oh, is he a deputy?
No, he's the part-time.
Oh, I do know him. I do know him, I met him.
Should be one time.
He was telling me he had to take his.
He said everything went up for
Shine that
next
all
year,
because he was going to some just.
Sunray, you know, stuff was this tall,
And
so
they
I
told him that he can't get what he can do because it's the liability of his.
Yes.
So they can't, they're not gonna.
Yes.
So we
They
can
use all of it.
for parades and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I think it might have been,
We get concerned about Foxtail.
or where the place was.
I mean, we've been not really concerned about it. I had somebody ask me, it's like,
It's
you mow,
like he was.
the ditches look fine when you mow, and then all I see is a lot of Foxtail. Well, 6 of one, half dozen the other.
exactly. People, what are you spraying out there?
That's a little bit of my question was, I see, just even on my ditch, my mow, I mow it, and
Okay.
he must have, went by and spritzed the thistle in a tree, right? So as he did that, overspray killed the grass onto it, right? Or stunted it anyway.
Hmm.
So, okay, well, then my theory is if you kill the grass, then it's open more window for more weeds to grow. That's what I was just wondering what he's spraying.
He said, when I asked him, he said that it won't kill the grass, it stunts it. He said it'll
Okay.
turn brown and it'll come back,
Okay.
but it won't kill it.
So he's all.
I said it was Milestone, Garland, and Tordon, at least the day that I spoke. So the Garland and Tordon is what will get after the grass, but it'll come back.
Okay.
But you're right, it's like nuclear.
I'm trying to get in my head and touch you don't want to just.
It's very
Oh, you just see it, you know, you just.
Well, I don't know, I talked to him last year, because it gets sad before, we also had the 25 deal. You know, we spent so much time, we're paying, that's, yeah, you know, we spend so much time. And I said, you know, just for FYI, I said, we gotta take your pay, so then this year you come with a trailer too, and
It's still all ATV though?
what's
That's
that?
still framed with four-wheeler?
Yes,
Oh, really?
They do better with four-wheeler than they do with the truck.
Yes.
You just drive along, whatever you can see from the opposite side of the truck and turn around.
Looking for a motion to approve the bill.
I'll make that motion.
Joe made that motion, I'll second.
I'll second that.
Dale seconded, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Any resident comments?
Okay, then, Jim, I have invited Jason Murray from David Drown and Associates here tonight. I don't have him added under reports presentations, but, that's where we probably should have him go next.
Okay.
And he's here tonight to talk about, how we could go about bonding for our big project for next spring. So I want to turn it over to Jason.
Well, thanks, Jackie. Good evening, supervisors. Again, Jason Murray, I'm with David Drone Associates. We're a registered municipal finance firm. We work with a lot of local units, government on economic development and debt, borrowing, debt exposure, type projects, whether it's street, sewer, water, economic development borrowing, just a wide variety of services from DDA. We also work with Minnesota Rural Water. We're their municipal financial advisor. Minnesota Rural Water has some loan programs for local units to tap into that are designed to control issuance costs and be placed at similar A-rated debt. A lot of times when they borrow, you hear a lot of the times with bigger cities, bigger entities, counties, having AA, AAA, A+ ratings. We try and structure, the Minnesota Rural Water programs are structured around an A-rated sale. So it's designed again to allow local units of government with smaller projects and under 3 million to access capital at a very affordable and quick pace. So that may be a program we use as we move forward with your project and this road improvement project. So last October, when I started talking with Jackie a little bit about this, it sounded like it was going to be about $1 million project, somewhere in there. Maybe it's up, maybe it's lower, depending on where you're at. But that's certainly a means to either use Minnesota Rural Water or direct placement. How borrowing generally works is our process or our work starts once you've got the formal bids or the final pricing, however you want to say it. At that point in time, once you have final bids and you've got the low bidder identified and you're about to issue that, award that contract, that's when we come in and start structuring. So my guess is the engineer will take you through that bid process this winter with the potential of opening bids probably January, February, March, depending on their guidance and process guidance and that. So then once you have those bids, then we come in. So in March, we would come in, generally about a 30 to 60 day process, again, depending on what program you use and where you place it. Marlene mentioned that you've outreached to a local bank. If that's a place you want me to entertain a bid or quote, I certainly can do that with direction from the board or township staff. So we're a little bit limited on behalf of the township to reach out directly to the bank. Generally, we just need an introduction or a authorization to say, Jason, please work with XYZ Bank or this individual to get a quote, to obtain a quote for borrowing. So if they're competitive, my goal is always for any entity, for any local unit, is to try and drive down that interest rate as much as we can to make an affordable project. So they're competitive from the standpoint of an interest rate, certainly placing it at the local bank and creating those relationships and supporting local is always important. So that is an avenue that we will look at if the township wishes us to go that direction and authorizes us to go that direction. So last year we had talked about a 15-year, it sounds like, and I went through my notes and that stuff, but it sounds like it's not going to be a special assessed project. The township's paying for the road, no special assessments, anybody that lives on the road, am I correct on that? So,
Well, if we do mailboxes, there would be a special assessment, like we talked about, that residents would pay that portion.
yeah, very small piece of it, very small gap. Statutory, and the reason I asked that question is, local units of government have to have specific statutory authority to borrow funds, and I put some information in there for you. Really, the township has three options under this. It would be special assessment or improvement bonds, which means you have to special assess at least 20% of the project. That's not going to happen. We could do it under a street reconstruction plan, which is a plan that identifies if you've got future roads within the next 5 years. We do a plan that discloses those roads, road improvement projects, reconstruction projects. We hold a public hearing on that plan, and we have to wait 30 days. Reverse referendum. There's a reverse referendum or a petition period on street reconstruction bonds. So once that 30 days is up, you can move forward with your borrowing. In this case, if it was the road, is it Alcott, I believe is the road that's being improved based on my notes. It was Alcott, and then if there's, if it's Almond next, for three years, that street reconstruction plan can cover multiple. The value of that street reconstruction is it can cover, disclose multiple borrowings from multiple roads. So it all just depends on the township's long-range plan or a 5-year plan to improve roads. The third option, which I think is the most feasible means to issue the debt, is just through certificates of indebtedness. By law, you can borrow up to 20 years on certificate of indebtedness with the township. The one thing is if there's a 0.25% rate requirement. If it's 0.25, if the borrowing is greater than 0.25% of the estimated market value, which based on last year's number for the township was right around that 750,000. If the borrowing's up over that level, we just have to put a publication, we have to notice it in the paper, provide 10 days before we can formally close or borrow the money and finalize the transaction. We usually do, if that's the process, if certificates, if we're required to notice, we usually do that well in advance of the authorization, just to get that procedural requirement out of the way, and then we can move to borrowing. So from that, it's just about a 45, 60-day process. And it all depends on, from my standpoint, once I get final numbers, I'll give the township some feedback on what I believe the interest rate should be based on the competitive market. And then potentially reach out to some of the local banks to see if we can be competitive in that nature. And if they are, great, we can place it locally, or we can look at negotiated working directly with an underwriter or through a Minnesota Rural Water program. There's 3-4 opportunities to place the debt. And again, at the end of the day, my responsibility is to try and obtain the lowest interest rate, the lowest cost of borrowing I can for the township.
Yes.
With that, quickly, just in your packet, generally with some of the things as I start to work together, we'll start to design the bond issue. Last year we talked about potentially 15 years, but if 20 is needed or 10 is needed, that's feedback from the township that I will need just to kind of where your level of comfort for my annual principal and interest payment, and to fit that budget, to fit that dollar amount that you need for annual payments. And that, so really term structure, we'll have more conversation as you get final numbers and as we lead to that. There are call provisions generally that are put into place. Most of the time, there's usually between a 5 and 7 year window that you cannot call this, which means prepay. It's not like your mortgage where you can call up and prepay at any time or pay it off at any time. Usually because of the structure, the interest rate, it's tax exempt borrowing. Generally, there's a call provision or period in there, and it's usually about 5 to 7 years before you can prepay. So those are just some things we'll work and negotiate with the bank. Obviously, the lower the call rate period or the call period, the better for the township. Maybe 5 years. You decide, but if it's a 20-year deal and you decide in 5 years you have funds, you want to pay it off and rid the township of that debt, you certainly can do that, hopefully, under the negotiated call term that we put in. Again, I talked about the local bank placement and Minnesota Water. A couple things in there, just giving you a little background on the Minnesota Water program. There's an application in there that talks a little bit more about their programs. Their size is there's a micro up to 250,000, a midi up to $1 million, and then a mega up to $3 million are kind of the three borrowing sizes, and you can see the fees associated with that. Then again, the nice part with Minnesota Rural Water is that fee includes our fee, bond counsel fee, which bond counsel will draft all the legal documents for the issuance of this debt. Those fees are included in the Minnesota Rural Water fees in there. It's generally, again, structured to be a very affordable way to issue debt. So that's been one of the benefits of Minnesota Rural Water. And then it's usually a quicker turnaround. Usually with those, we can turn around within 15 to 20 days, depending on the program lender and the bank. So it's I just mentioned about a 45 to 60 day process. Potentially, if we use Minnesota Rural Water, it could be anywhere from about a 20 to 30 day, and have you locked in proposal at that point in time. So it all just depends on where the interest rate environment is at the time of the borrowing, and what we can secure for the township for that long-term debt.
On that, I'm looking at that, so depends upon your borrowing, based on your population, is that what I'm looking at?
There is some population thresholds, but usually with township, because of the geographical territory of the especially for your township, we have a lot of lake and hay, so there's a lot of tax base there. Generally, the program lenders will waive those requirements from that standpoint, again, because you're just a larger base of tax base amount. But you can see the fees, not program fees. It's a very simple application, 2-page, and just like Marlene had indicated that she had sent the lender the last couple of years' financial information. We, based on I added that on the bottom of the checklist down there. Just things that I'll need as we move forward is, more of a project summary, a detailed project summary. Are we doing 5 miles? Are we doing 1 mile? What's, just kind of the all cost from X, just to give the, again, a better defined definition of the project. And then what are those construction engineers fees, any construction admin, if WSN, or I shouldn't say that anymore, stuff. Well, the acronyms are already great, but with SEP, if they're gonna have construction engineers on site or construction managers on site, the cost allocated for those services, any contingencies, we want to build it all into that borrowing. Again, just to be able to cover the expenses for the township, make sure we're accounting for those all in project costs, not just the construction, so.
So does it also include costs already paid? Engineering costs we paid to date for that project, or the work we've done at the recommendation of the engineer for that project?
There is, the best way to explain that to the supervisor is engineering costs, personnel costs, those design costs, those can be reimbursed at any time. Capital costs, the law states we must have a reimbursement resolution within 60 days of when the check is cut. And so tar, fill, culverts, if those improvements already been done, which sounds like you had some work on this road here this year, we should get that reimbursement resolution passed tonight. So I was having trouble getting into my technology and to be able to get Marlene and Jackie a resolution. So I'll step outside after I'm done and just try and get that resolution here tonight. So I would ask the township, again, it doesn't require you, it doesn't obligate you to borrow and repay yourself. It gives you the option to do it. So it's just a protection. And so I would advise the township to pass that resolution tonight. Up to $250,000 to reimburse yourself for project related costs for this borrowing, for all capital, however you want to decide it, however you want to decide it. So again, it doesn't obligate you, just gives you that option. So,
Can those funds be received earlier? Like, so, for example, we're doing a project, you talked about the bidding process, the project won't start until May, we won't get the final bill, let's say until August of next year. Could we get earlier payment for those costs incurred once we finalize the loan paperwork, say in May?
you can, it would be reimbursed at closing. So it's all just when we get this all together. So right now, it looks like potentially if you need funds within the next 45 to 60 days, it would be a separate issue. But if we can get to that next settlement of October, get the cash flow for the winter, get to the spring when we've got all our numbers together, one borrowing, one closing cost, do it all at once. Now there are short-term, as Marlene shared, she's already reached out to the lender. Minnesota Water would be a viable short-term borrowing if you need to. Now, most of the time when any local units government borrow, it has to be structured like a bond, not a traditional loan amortization and that stuff. So those are the, I guess, the details that need to be followed when you borrow, whether it's directly with a bank or through a borrowing municipal financial advisor.
Funds are available at closing of the loan.
Yeah, so right now, you're probably gonna bid it this winter, it would probably be a March, April borrowing at this point in time.
Yep.
So we'd try and have, my goal would be to have proceeds in the bank for you before construction starts. So then once construction starts, then you've got funds readily available for it. And most of the time, that project won't start until probably after May 1st. There may be something even in the contract that, bid contract that says it's gonna start X date.
Interest rates start at time of closing or as you take funds based on funds taken?
Time of closing, basically, you'll get a lump sum, and you'll get a lump sum, million right at closing, it comes in. So basically, what you wanna do during construction as best you can is to manage those funds and earn interest and construction earnings and that kind of stuff off those funds.
So just a clarification on that. So the money would be issued to the township. It wouldn't be like, we would have an account with the, Minnesota Water, whatever, Minnesota Rural Water.
No.
We would have, if the money would come to us, we'd put it into our account. So if we chose to do, like another account within our regular account. Okay, so, and the only reason I'm asking this is I think, Arnie, when we did Ward Springs, did we have a separate checking account for that? Because we bonded that, right? And I think we had a separate checking account for that to keep it straight. However, with CTAS, we have the object, we've got a special,
To funnel
yes, that we could put it all underneath that.
it, right,
Okay.
right.
Yeah, internally, you create a debt service fund in your
Mhm.
software that million comes in, you pay out of that account. I should say first and foremost, back up, you start a construction account
Mhm.
and a million comes into that, you pay out of the construction fees. When construction is completed, any funds left in that, you transfer it over to the debt service fund. Because those funds will be obligated for, if it's not for Alcott or a specific piece of Alcott, those funds, any remaining funds basically are covered to future debt service. So that helps you with your, maybe your first initial payments if there's some funds left over, so.
Because if we, tonight, Jason, if they pass the resolution, if the board passes that resolution, we're gonna wrap in like last month's expenses, which was fairly large, into what we're gonna borrow. And then when we do get the funds at closing, right then and there is, extra
Yep.
200,000 or whatever. So you're saying then that needs to be
It would, well, basically, because we have that declaration, the 200,000 out of those funds, then you immediately move to your general fund.
that will
Or
go to our general fund.
You recode it as engineering and project costs within that construction piece of
Okay.
it, so thus,
The resolution kind of is what is shielding that, or saying
Oh,
that
allows you
was,
to do it, yeah.
we spend that out of our own funds.
Yep.
Okay.
And we've also had some engineering costs.
We have.
But they are
quite a
covered
few.
anyway.
They are,
Engineering
yes,
costs,
they're not
engineering,
part of that 60-day thing.
It's the capital that, it's the.
The
that's
engineering costs don't fall under the 60 days, they're
Right.
underneath all project.
We-
Right.
Yeah, we can go get all
This
those
is our password, right?
for Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's,
Yep.
I think it looks right, it's up on the board.
Just so, I don't know if this will help, but we have Wi-Fi in here.
Perfect.
So, and I put that information on the bottom, and I put my email address on the top.
What I'll do is if the board doesn't mind, I'll try and get that resolution.
Any more questions for them at this time?
Just one question. So let's just presume for a moment we need to go out and get other funds from now until we close the note loan in the spring. And there's interest and fees associated with that. Is the township responsible for those interest and fees on that, or are we able to include those in?
Generally, if you need to borrow now for short term, is you capitalize the interest. You borrow, it's not very efficient, but you borrow enough to make your interest payment for a year time or whatever the term is. And then at that point in time, that full amount, that interim interest and that temporary borrowing can be wrapped in. So,
Thank you.
Everybody good?
thank you, Supervisor. If you don't mind, I'll just
Thank you.
Get that reimbursement resolution.
When you come back in, we'll bring that up right away again. Marty, you wanna?
Yeah.
You guys move on?
I think on the drive there on the south end, I think what was the bid, I don't know what the bid was yet from NBC down there, I can't remember.
10-6, I think.
Yeah, and so they took there and dug that ditch out and redid the whole west side, kind of tapered the low spots and over to where Dale put your drain tile there. And I went there after the rain and there wasn't much water in there at all. I mean, they did a nice job floating that there. And he hand seeded it, he said, so it's gonna come a little bit cheaper. So then when we did the culvert up there, on the culvert was, some of you guys, that Jim, did I send you a picture?
No.
But then the whole bottom end was completely rusted off, everything. Yeah. And,
You sent that to me, it was, I heard nothing.
yeah, cause he asked me, he said, you guys wanna save that center piece? And I said, yeah, might as well. So he pulled her out. Now he said, you don't think what that one. So it's working out. He said, well, remember, was that 15 grand bid on that? So,
I don't know, I wasn't,
well, somebody,
I think it was at least,
okay, so then I talked to, what's his name, Dave, Darren?
Howard?
Howard. And he said it came in cheaper. On the quote, there were 5 loads of granite, they put 3 in. And they didn't do the hydro seeding. It's just the other's gonna be cheaper and something else. So I don't know what to bid. The bill came in.
So are we still getting a bill from them?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Probably 2 separate ones. For the culvert and for the other one.
The culvert issue had to be done, the other one, we
Yep.
gave the authorization to do it.
And they did a nice job on
It looks
the
real
granite.
nice. Yeah.
Nicer. And then they sloped the ditch going to the north. So then Frankie and his wife can mow it, she said, so.
And she's been planting hostas in there and making it look real nice.
Yeah.
so you said they put 3 loads instead of 5.
Right.
Okay,
He bid 5.
okay.
I think that was on the bid.
They did the same on Alcon, they did a bunch of granite and then they ended up needing less in every instance. Or not every, but most of them.
And so we put a 3-foot culvert in there.
Should be good for another 30 years.
Hope so. Okay, then, okay.
Is there any other, and I did want the board to know, I did reach out to Attorney Gilchrist. He hasn't come back yet with an opinion about that whole, some of the questions that were raised with the end of almond up here and going into alpha or whatever it is. He hasn't responded yet as far as what are the options that could be, whether it's in the best interest of the township to take it over or an SSD or, the different options. So he has not gotten back to me.
See, the roads that were supposed to be joined up in there, they weren't really roads, they were just trails. And so then, you still remember that they sit there and built it in because 2 guys wanted to sit there and have access to a township road. So they came and built the road, but they didn't hook it up to anything. So now they want us to sit there and jump over and hook up to basically a trail.
So when we're out there snowplowing this section right now, we're doing it because that's where we go and turn around, or it's just, we just been doing it? So how far do we go past our township road?
None.
Yes, they do, because apparently they said we're doing it, so.
Who said that?
I go past, I go past just, probably 60 feet past the end of the tar.
You did the same? Okay.
Well, I think it's kind of a turnaround there, right? It's the only place you can really turn around, or what?
Yeah, but you have to back out of there.
I gotta back out of there and back into the other guy's driveway. From what I understood, that driveway was intended to be the turnaround. But, so since the tar kind of stops right at the end of the mailboxes and at the culvert, the ditch or whatever, I don't really have any place to pile the snow.
you know, as I'm plowing, I got a pile of snow on the blade, what do you do with it? Stop right there? Or you curve it and get it out?
So basically, we cross the line so we can turn around and come back.
It's severe as snow.
And that I did share with Attorney Gilchrist, because I know that there could be concern that if we've been maintaining the section for a certain amount of time, that it's possible legally, there's a legal point that residents could say that the township would need to take that on, since you've been maintaining it.
We're not maintaining it though.
Plowing.
We haven't done any gravel, any, nothing, no
No.
repairs, no maintenance, no nothing. We basically turned it around and it was across the line.
Snow.
So, but we'll follow up on that. And at this point, Arnie, do we want to go any further on that, or any more requests? I mean,
I think we just drop it.
just leave it alone.
Just a question, where the ditch, I haven't been down there, but where the ditch work is done, did it go past the tar?
No.
It can be considered maintenance.
No, they stayed about 20, 30 yards probably to the north of that culvert there.
Okay.
Maybe even farther than that.
Any other questions on this? Concerns?
Dave, I'll get with you later, and I got some questions about what you're gonna do and who's gonna take the maintenance on that, and the upkeep and stuff like that. We can talk offline. Okay.
Any more questions on item A then? Now I'm gonna move on to item B.
Sure, happy to give, what update I do have. It's been fairly quiet on Alcott. Herb was out and got, lift of class 5 down, as well as the crushed asphalt. Looks really good, I think. It's set up really nice. Been holding too. Yeah, it seems to, people, I don't know if people have slowed or not, I've gotten fewer complaints about the speed at which people are traveling. I've also gotten fewer complaints about dust. I've gotten fewer calls, thankfully. Those few calls I did have, I recommended people come to the board meeting. You weren't one of the calls, Jeff, so assuming nobody else had a concern enough to show up to the meeting. So aside from that, I think we're sitting pretty good at the moment. We have 2 points of note, or 3 points of note, excuse me. There's one culvert with an apron on the north end that NBC is still gonna bring a load of black dirt out there, which was included in our previous bill. They're just gonna finish that, so it butts up against the apron. One of the residents, where on the north end where we did all of the riprap down through his ditch, part of his driveway got wrecked, his asphalt driveway got wrecked when they were in there doing it, so he asked for the township to repair it. I was gonna ask NBC if they had any little bit of tar that they could just throw into it, or maybe we go out with one of those little premix bags and put it into it. It's not the size of this table, a little bit smaller even. So something I told them that we would take care of. So there's that, and then there was one other piece, but I can't recall. So.
Yeah, I think we still have some of that premix stuff in the shed out here. I don't know how many bags, but you might want to check on that. And I did get a call from somebody on Alcott saying that they were very pleased with the results. You know, that's the person that called me and complained last month, and that we came out right away and fixed it, and everything looks good, and they were extremely happy with it. So, good job.
Then we did open up, so we were gonna gravel it, now we have asphalt on, we were gonna do that, and we had to do that too.
We had talked about doing it. The engineer said you could go crushed asphalt, you could go with class 5. It didn't really matter. There was overwhelming perception, I'll say, from everybody that crushed asphalt was better. I didn't really care one way or the other. It just was a matter of, we need to put something. So the road is I've gotten calls because people saying their ditches are too steep and they can't mow them now, and they're too rough, and they're concerned about they're concerned about the crushed asphalt being flung off into the ditch when the snow is being plowed. I'm just saying for fair warning, keep your shoes up a little bit. I said, well, that's what happens on gravel, it does go into the ditch. And then they were complaining because it wasn't all the way to the edge of the grass. Well, if you look at it, that's the shoulder. The crushed asphalt is exactly where the asphalt will be. That's why it's on it, supposed to have a crown. So anyway, new ropes and all of that. But all of that being said, I think the crushed asphalt achieved harder pack at the hard enough and Howard about it, and we didn't have to worry about dust control, because there's pros and cons about dust control. A lot of calls about it too dusty. So this,
Some beer had problem, that's good.
yeah, and the cost was basically the same.
Well, that's what I tried to keep it like the tar would be, you know.
Yeah,
Because otherwise, there's really no reason to go up to the grass.
right.
And then next year it's gonna get tore up whenever things will be, you know, redone, whatever. So.
Right, well, and at least the way the engineer talked, and this could be completely wrong, and he said, well, whatever you've got, when they mill it up, if the shoulder is gravel and your road surface is asphalt, it's all just gonna get milled up, or reclaimed, I should say, all on that same path. If you go crushed asphalt all the way out to the edge, well, now you've got crushed asphalt mixed in with the class 5 that's there, which isn't necessarily a problem, but just keeps the crushed asphalt where tar is gonna be, so when they go through, it's uniform. Yep. So.
I just want to say that, expanding on your granite that you have when I get there with my Township watershed district, I'm gonna put more granite down there in an area where water comes down my ditch and goes into that ditch and got a gully in there.
Around that pine tree?
Yeah, so I'm working with Township
Sure.
watershed district to get you those granite in there.
Sure. Well, it'll look nice, it'll probably be more like, and the reason that we didn't is because it was outside of our jurisdiction versus on like the north end, if you saw it go up on either side, well, that's within the jurisdiction, which is why we went up on either side. We had the same thing going on. The reason we put it in is there was just a little cut in a ditch and washout that went all the way down. So, yeah, that's probably a good idea to do it.
So next month it should.
Oh, really? Okay. Good. So yeah, I remember the last thing, just a point of clarification. NBC's, when they were here last month, said it's 99.9% of the bill was coming through. I haven't heard anything from them, such that they were talking about aprons. There might be more, there might be none. They weren't sure. I haven't heard anything. I do need to reach out because they owe us all of the tags for all of the granite. Once I get those, we can turn them into Todd County, and Todd County can make sure it's checked for granite. So that's the one I was saying.
I'm still trying to find 12-inch.
You haven't found them?
I think it's Menards.
NBC didn't have them?
Huh?
NBC didn't have them?
I didn't check with them, I checked with Town County.
Okay. I'm surprised Todd County didn't, because
They said they don't have 12s.
they did 2 years ago when I bought them there.
Yeah.
Anyway.
They don't know where there's 15 inch and up.
Oh, really? Okay.
So I'm just curious, how far are we, and we see, are we pretty out, what road projects were this year?
As far as I'm aware, this was the last one down here, or these two. I wasn't really involved with either of those at the back end here, but yeah, there's nothing outstanding, nothing pending, other than just closing up the grants, or the tags for the grant.
Any other questions on item B? Now moving on to item C, you got that taken care of? No.
You do, right?
Yep.
Is that ready to go?
It should be.
Okay,
We'll
so,
step back into that then.
yeah, okay, so Jason, it looks like there's a couple documents here. There's a resolution establishing procedures relating to compliance with reimbursement bond regulations under the Internal Revenue Code. And then it looks like there's something called a declaration of official intent. and then a certification,
Correct. The
so,
first one you reference, Jack, is just really the reference to the IRS disclosures and that stuff. The second one is the actual declaration of intent they're down midway through, item 3, I think it is where we say it's the Alcott Road project, it's X amount, I think Marlene, just put 300,000 in there to be safe, just in case there's any more bills that come, so this should protect the township in its ability to borrow and reimburse itself for capital costs related to Alcott.
I'm glad this is within 30 days instead of
Good timing, yeah.
so it looks like for the board, they just would need to make a motion to approve resolution 2025-12. And then the other two documents, they're not really taking action on, they're kind of going along with it. And it just looks like we need to know who made the motion and the second. And it looks like I need to do signing and then Jim on the resolution, yeah,
Yep.
okay,
And then just email me a copy of Jack, and I'll make sure I keep it.
okay.
So basically one resolution covering, okay.
And maybe just to give you a little bit of background on the timing, and I know Arnie, you had asked, but the engineer is wondering if we can come to a conclusion about any of the outstanding questions, like walking path, so the paint, the striping, the mailboxes, the aprons alongside the edge of the road. If it's 1 foot out the whole length, and then 2 foot out on the corners, or just bump out the mailboxes in the corners, 1 foot, 2 foot, etc. They're wondering about those things. Once they finalize that, they can come to us with the final plan, which they're hoping to do basically any time between now and the end of the year. Their preference would be sooner rather than later. So maybe we put on the agenda for next month just to get some consensus on those points. They can come out too if we want them to. And then they'll finalize the plan and get us the plan before the end of the year for February seeking bids.
Did they give us kind of a bid, or say we want to put an extra foot on each side of the walking path?
Nothing formal. If I remember right, when he did the numbers, and that was in one of the emails I shared with all of you, don't quote me on any of this, but it was like right around $50,000 for the whole road. 1 foot bump out the whole length. Wasn't 50 to 60, somewhere in there. I mean, it wasn't silly for nearly 5 miles of road.
And still every corner will have a bump
And
on it.
every corner would then have another foot out from there, but nothing at mailbox.
And the only thing I thought of when you brought that up was, I wonder if by doing that walking path, it's supposed to give the impression of drivers to slow, correct? I think
Yeah,
it's the way to stripe it.
let's cover this and then we'll get into the discussion on something that doesn't be part of this information at this point. Let's do one step here at a time, and then we'll go back to.
Sorry, you're concerned.
Looking for a motion to adopt the resolution 2025-12.
I'll make that motion.
Joe's made that motion, do I have a second?
I'll second it.
I need a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Signature on there.
I'm just looking to see. Actually, there isn't the signature line for you, Jim, on the resolution, but I might just have you sign the bottom of it. I think maybe just for our purpose, we usually have the chair sign the resolutions. Yeah.
Sure.
And then did you just want me to scan you a copy after tonight,
Yeah, that's fine.
like tomorrow?
Yeah, whenever. We have it on record at least, so.
Yeah, that's right.
Appreciate all the information.
No problem. Get quite a record. Look forward to working with the township. Let me know if you have any questions. My card is there. Feel free to reach out. And if you need me to attend meetings, I'm only about 45 minutes away, so feel free to reach out if there's something dire. I would recommend supervisors that maybe once you made some of these key decisions that can lead stuff into a rough estimate for you, that maybe December, January, before you get to that bid, I can run that preliminary bond schedule, say here's kind of what we're looking at for budgeting purposes, and kind of lead up, making sure you're comfortable with where we're going. And then once you got the bids, you're comfortable enough that says, yeah, let's award, let's move on. Jason, let's get funds. So
What's the average interest rate? About.
right now, I similar size in that 1 million, was about 4.5% right now. Now, we keep hearing rates are supposed to be, from the news here this last week, that they're looking at cuts. That'd be awesome, see what happens in September, so, hopefully rates will be down when we move forward with this part.
That's a locked in rate.
That would be a lock, that's what I'm seeing today, once we get the formal locked in rate from either Minnesota Rural Water or underwriter or, the local bank, that's locked in for the term of that.
So if there's let's say it's like a 15-year repayment, interest rates drop significantly by the time this year will refinance.
Usually around that, I mentioned that call date, when you're prepay or refinance, the rates would be lower, so it triggers off that call date.
Got it. Thank you, it's nice meeting you.
Yeah, thanks for your time. Yeah, thank you very much, and, feel free to reach out with any questions.
Well, thank you. So next month, do you run a preliminary payment schedule on something like that?
Yeah, what do we got here? Oh,
That's our
that right?
originals.
okay, yeah. Okay, so 4.5% interest.
And if Marlene could just email me a rough amount, if it's $1 million, $1.2 million, I can just run I had run one last year and I brought it with me, but it would look something similar to this, that lays out principal and interest payments, all that, so I can do that for you. Marlene.
Oh,
You just-
perfect. Okay.
So,
I just give an idea, so. Okay, thank you.
Yep, all even up, this was $1.3 million, and it's, just kind of shows the, application fees. I did it under Minnesota Rural Water, just to, from that aspect, I can just even update this one. And
What is the percent that you have on that one?
I have 4.9 on this. This was a year
Okay.
ago. Rates climbed a little bit this last year. But now we've started to see a little bit of downward side. So
Okay.
I
Just
can,
look at, just the ballpark anyway, so if this is 4.9, and
Yeah, I was just gonna say,
that
that would
works for
sort
me.
of be a ballpark, we could maybe just take a copy of that.
I'm good with that. I'm not sure we're that close, but something in general, I mean, this one, we're gonna get an idea where we're at.
Okay, great.
so,
Okay.
it's just a preliminary, and so.
Yep, okay.
Again, thank you.
Yep. Thank you. Yep, thanks, everybody.
Any more discussion on the Alcott tarring? Can we get back into that, or we're gonna move on to the items on the agenda, but if you got any questions on that, we can continue here. Or you wanna put it on the agenda for next month and have everybody dialed in, and let's make a decision on how we're gonna go forward?
Yeah, I think we'll just have it for next month to make those final decisions.
And I just mentioned it because I thought, well, maybe I'm gonna look into grants then, because maybe the safety aspect actually would make it eligible for grant funds. By adding it, a $50,000 cost to it, maybe it allows us to recoup actually a lot more than that for the coverage of doing the road. You never know.
Right.
Not a bad
So
idea.
I'll look into that, yeah.
Okay.
All right, thank you,
Okay,
Jason.
yeah, thank you.
Yeah, you don't have to stay unless you want to.
Thanks, everybody.
All right, thank you so much.
Yeah, hey, I was down Archer Trail, or Archer Drive, you know where that's at, Irvin, there. And that cul-de-sac is really getting tighter and tighter all the time. They're building a garage 2 places away from there. Elgin's doing it, he's got extra dirt. So, I don't know, I'll talk to him, because he said he can just take that dirt and put it around the outside edge and make it, push some of the willows and stuff like that there, and maybe put a couple of loads of class 5 on there. And at least you'd be able to turn around down there, because,
Well, it wouldn't hurt at all.
yeah, you can't, it's hard to turn around, so. If that's something you want me to check in on, see how much dirt he's got, how much he would charge.
That's down by the by the wildlife there.
Yep.
Yeah. And we talked about that last year, that that's getting really,
Yeah,
really bad.
yeah,
So how much room do you guys actually have there for a turnaround?
I think it goes to the fence.
On the right-hand side, there's fence right close, right? And the other side, there's fence all around that?
Well, there's the garden fence. Yeah. You gotta look out for that.
Oh, yeah, that fence to the south there.
Yeah, that's where,
I guess I didn't even really hard to know if there was much fence down in there, everything's getting so overgrown with roads and trees and stuff. So just more anything brushed out, like.
don't give me the authority to say if I don't talk to Joe or whatever it was and see how much it's gonna be, you know. I think it's too much, don't do it, I think it's good, I don't know. As long as you got the dirt right there and he has the equipment right there.
I think Pete's got the material there versus haul from end to end.
Yeah.
That's east.
Right.
I don't know.
It's the time to do it.
It's awfully silty down there as it is now. I think you're right. If we get some material in there and then some class 5 across the top, it would sure help set it up more.
Or make a informed decision and have them go forward.
Okay, I'll talk to him this week, I think he's there, or else I'll just give him a call and see when he's down there and how much he's got. Whatever.
It's basically regular road maintenance, is basically what we're doing here, right?
Arnie, were you checking with?
Pardon?
Where are you checking with?
Darren Elgin.
Outside,
Darren Elgin.
they go outside of our right of way where the cul-de-sac currently is potentially. We're not, we're staying within. Yeah, not no, yeah. Okay. If we were changing the route, then that would be certainly the case.
Pest control.
Okay, I have one question for two. Did you put, a lot of roads, did you put half dust control on?
I have to look at the map, I don't think so. Some of them were single pass.
But I know we were, Dale and I were there, put a couple stop signs in on 275th by David Swampy,
Yeah.
there,
The cut across.
that cut across there, and gets a lot of traffic, and he said, this has been dusty, and I said, well, I don't know, maybe just put it, I knew you talked, sometimes you want half dosage, see how it was gonna work.
I've noticed that on at least my road too. It's a wet year, right? Which theoretically shouldn't have a lot of moisture, or shouldn't have a lot of dust because of all the moisture. Yes. Even 2 days after rain, it's soft dusty.
Now, the rain is hard on it, washes it off. And it's hard to get a window when to put it on. If you get a rain right after that or whatever, it does affect it too.
We got it at one of those years.
I know we talked, or at least I brought it up maybe last month, or maybe 2 months ago, just about potentially trying a road just with another hit right now, one pass, just to see if it would help hold it till next year a little bit better if we want to look at doing that. Maybe not, instead, like next year, look at using the same amount of chloride, but one half pass earlier in the summer and then another half pass later in the summer to see if we have better retention.
Or we're gonna lose more money, like having to do it twice in 1 year, labor and mileage and everything else.
I think it just depends on year, like this year, a lot of rain.
We do have some roads where there's a lot of traffic, like Grayville's got a couple, and Angle Road's another one, where we spray it half rate in the spring, and then halfway through the summer or whatever, then we hit it again to kind of basically you're freshening it up again.
How's that working?
I don't know.
This year's been kind of tough with the weather, but we actually just did some of them here a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, like that one by David Thornton's tree where I think that's a lot of traffic.
Yeah. So that might be something to consider, do half rate in the spring and then halfway through the summer, do it again.
Like doing some test roads and talking about it next year, are you close? Or anybody thinking that we have to get out there and do some of these roads again now?
I don't know, we're getting kind of late now, I think, but yeah.
Can it be, I don't disagree we're getting late, but at the same time, it would be an easy way to go into next year more informed. Here's how it held up, or here's how it didn't.
And we're the 1st of September.
The days are getting short,
It's snowing, bro.
you get dew, every dew now, stuff too. Try to do a final grading for the season shortly too, not or pretty soon, I suppose.
What does the board think?
Spray it and then.
Cut up any of these roads or leave it?
The grass is starting to grow in and stuff. Usually, September sometime, October, you never know what the weather's gonna do.
And if we just do the final grade and then forget about the dust for now.
Yeah,
Moving on to item unfinished business then?
Okay, so,
Hey Jeff, see you soon.
Thank you.
so since last meeting, I had thought that, we were ready to send out the information about the Main Street vacation in, Ward Springs. I'm gonna start with that one first. Attorney Gilchrist contacted me and wanted to rework the road description for the vacation. After meeting with the residents, he didn't really feel that we could just use what we had used. So he actually redid all of the documents and sent them to me. He said, you need to adopt a new resolution with the updated description of the Main Street vacation, along with now notifying the residents. And I felt like, I thought I could just do that on my own, but he felt we needed to be more clear. And he did not want to aim for doing the action tonight for you. He thought the turnaround was too quick from the time he sent me the documents, which was like about just under 2 weeks ago. And so he said, Jackie, I think it'd be better to have them do it at the September meeting and do both. Do the Lake Walk and the Main Street one. So he updated the resolution, got me the new descriptions. I gave them to the county recorder. She hasn't responded with any problems with them, so they should be both okay. And then he asked that tonight you adopt the updated resolution for the Main Street vacation for Ward Springs. And so that was in your packet tonight. And then I will send that packet out to each of the 4 residents to inform them that we're gonna do the vacation at next month's meeting, that you're gonna take action on.
So what street you added the 4th one?
Yes. Mhm.
Okay.
So, for that one, we'll need a motion and a second to pass resolution 2025-11, which is the vacation of Main Street in the town of Birch Lake City.
And we don't have to go forward with any public hearings anymore, this is
No.
just the same principle,
This
just
is-
adding new description.
Exactly. This is just a notification process to make sure it's covered. As far as the lake walk, as you remember already, the DNR was notified last month, but they have 60 days. I have not heard anything from the DNR. I assume that if we get to next month's meeting and the 60 days passes and we hear nothing, then that means the DNR is not weighing in at all, and you can go ahead and take action on that one too.
Looking for a motion then.
I'll make that motion.
Larry's made a motion, do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Dale second, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, start calling quotes.
New business?
So we sent out quotes to 3 different contractors, Mr. Craig Cheetah, and also Irv Furtering, and also Tough Excavating Incorporated. We did receive one back from Tough Excavating, and
You're gonna trust me with something sharp.
I'm not gonna get very close.
and then here is last year's.
Two readings. You get. Really? No way. Much as his car worth is trying to get. Oh, jeez. Peter Weir, this is years ago. He said, yeah. Oops.
Yes, sir.
Did I miss something? Did I miss something? No?
I'll make a motion to award the snow plowing contract to Tough Excavating.
I'll second that.
Joe's made the motion to award and Dale seconded. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
You don't need this, do you?
No. Okay, the next item comes up on our calendar of events, and that is the yearly fire extinguisher check.
Check.
It's still there. I had this action from last year and I still haven't gotten to it, so,
Okay.
What's the deal?
I can take a Sharpie and correct the year on the card.
Because I think it was only about 10 years, isn't it?
The tax is 2018.
Oh, that's 27, yeah. That's a few years ago, yeah.
I have a business card on my desk at home and I looked at it for the last year and a half, right next to my keyboard, so one of these days I'll.
Okay, so Joe, you'll take care of it?
Eventually, if you'll just give me the latitude eventually, I will take it.
Okay.
Just a little lower on that card.
Is there a place I can say, oh, you can take those and get them filled up? Like that's about half of those.
Yeah.
So you're fine to take that one with, information on it?
Okay. We received a special assessment request for Main Street title and closing for Stephen L. and Ann Brunswick, 23591 Cedar Lake Road, Slack Center. We also received a special assessment request from Hometown Title for 21378 Alcott Lane, Slack Center. And we received one from Steve Ball and Associates for 12207 Alcott Drive, Sauk Center. I responded to all three that there were no assessments from Birchdale Township. And then the last item, we did receive notice from Todd County Planning and Zoning. In the last few months, they now notice to each township if a variance was granted or denied, if it came up on planning and zoning. In this case, they gave us a notice that the variance for Teresa and Tom Petermeyer, 12918 Bayview Drive, Sauk Center, was approved. That's it.
So board, any other questions? Any comments?
I did attend the meeting for Toby Danielson, and they did approve with a couple of stipulations. One, they wanted him to plant some trees or out there, and he has to be compliant with the state with its and trees and all that stuff. So, and he only wanted, I think it was 40 vehicles at max. So,
We had a stop sign that Dale and I put up the other day. So I had Larry, talked to Larry, he got two of them, so we got one extra one. So Dale said, maybe you can just shoot that one with a bunch of old and they won't sit there and steal it.
yeah, it's weird.
We had to get a step ladder, and I thought, hold Dale on a step ladder, cause down in the ditch and.
Yeah.
Why don't they steal something better? Easier. Cause they didn't have a ladder.
Well, then Tom or Shay came by and said they took the 911 sign by,
Yeah.
and then, so then somebody took the 275th off of the top of the post and left that to 99.
No, it's the other way around. They took the 99 off.
Oh, yeah?
When then I talked to Dave Swampy, they took his 911 sign right with that little triangle where he keeps it mowed there.
Yeah.
So he's gonna put a shelves up there, he said, fix it all nice. I give the numbers to Larry, so
Okay.
poor Dave Swampy down 103 pounds, geez.
Wow.
I think he had blood cancer. I think.
Somebody's a little behind it over here.
That's okay. You have to sign the check.
Yeah, it was good, Dale, that you were at planning and zoning for Toby. The commissioners, Commissioner Newman did ask during the board meeting if the township was in support, if he had come to the township. And then, Adam said, or actually, one of the other commissioners, Commissioner Byers said, actually, one of the supervisors was at the meeting.
Yes.
And they had
Well,
expressed support.
Roger Henriksen asked what the townships was on, and I got in touch and said, we were okay with that.
Yeah. So, yeah, it came
Doesn't
out.
Adam normally say, when he brings it up to everybody, then, is there any resident comments or, anything from the township or anything like that?
During the commissioners' board meetings?
Okay.
No, but a lot of times Commissioner Newman will ask the question because it was his idea, last year to start asking townships or asking people to go to the townships. And Adam will always be able to answer that they have done that. Sometimes they have written documentation, sometimes they have verbal, but.
I know he brings that up at various meetings.
Mhm.
Especially if you out there going into your community and say,
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
support.
They make him put up a fence around it?
No, they just want him to plant trees around that. Cause it was resident, of course, bought 80 acres. I'm gonna build a new house back there. Here it comes to find out there's gonna be a junkyard out my front window. Well, I get it, so.
I know some of these people, I'll plant trees and then they buy the trees that are installed, It's gonna be 50 years before they grow up and they hide anything.
He seemed like he's pretty, in minimal on vehicles.
Come on, that's me.
He's only gonna do one brand.
Yeah.
Yeah, just to speed you up,
And I'm the last
pick up,
one.
hopefully. I mean,
Well, when you get it covered, then
yeah,
you good? We're done? Looking for a motion to adjourn? I'll make that motion. Artie's made a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Larry seconded. All in favor?
uh,
Opposed?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly.
I need other coffee. Brother.
So Jim, could you sign, this is the resolution for the vacation of Main Street. And if you can sign that, then I'll be able to get those copies out to the residents.
Be all right for the moment. This is it.
Yeah, this is a new resolution, the update.
I would say sometime like 10%.
Oh, well,
That's kind of what I was thinking here.
Go ahead.
Yeah, it's so fine. Those people,
Wow, tonight was kind of crazy.
It
Yeah.
So I was able to do it.
Herb, how was your trip?
We're not gonna touch that.
Came back.
Does that line up kind of with this?
Yeah,
Okay.
it does. Yeah, his was, of course, it's a little higher.
How many days?
Yeah,
But I did do the same amount.
and that's on 15 years.
15 years,
Mhm.
because on his, it
Come back,
was
it's
showing
what
that it would be
So you didn't do it all for you?
131,000 a year.
Yeah.
But mine is showing 94. So,
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know where the summer went.
If it's on that, maybe that's not so bad.
did you turn that in? I did do a real quick loan schedule, Jim.
Okay.
So I did it just